Today I'm going to show you how to read a science article and make Cornell notes. Now, if you've been in my class for a while, you've probably seen me demonstrate this before, but if you're one of my new students, this may be the first time you're making Cornell notes. Cornell notes are basically just a format that you can use to take notes on any nonfiction article or text. So it could be science or social studies or anything else that you're learning true information about. When you make Cornell notes, you're going to divide your paper into 3 portions. Your notes portion, where you put vocabulary words, facts, and important ideas. Questions. These can be teacher-like questions to check understanding, things you're confused about or don't understand, or things you're wondering about that you'd like to learn more about. And then last, we're going to write a summary. The summary portion is where you check to see what you've absorbed from the article. So you should complete the summary without looking at the article. This only needs to be 1 or 2 sentences that describe the main point of what you've read. Let's go ahead and start reading. Observing the stars. Think about the night sky. What can you see? Stars might be one of the first things to come to your mind. There are many billions of stars in outer space. Do all stars look exactly the same? Let's pause for a second and think about this first paragraph. This is mainly just introductory information. It's kind of meant to start getting you thinking about the topic, and it really doesn't contain any essential information or new learning. So I'm not going to take any notes from that first paragraph. Let's keep reading. It might be hard to tell the differences among stars from here on Earth, but they are all, in fact, very different. No 2 stars are the same. Okay, I guess I could write that down. So kind of like snowflakes or fingerprints. No 2 stars are the same. Okay, you can also write on your article if you are printing it out. You can underline. You can circle vocabulary words that you want to remember. You can record questions in the margin. If you're working only on the computer, if you're reading an article like in Cami, you could use the highlighter tool to do similar kind of things. One way to classify stars is by their brightness. How bright a star looks when viewed from Earth is defined as its apparent brightness. This is the first vocabulary word we want to make sure to pay attention to. Apparent brightness. This definition makes sense to me because I think of things that are apparent are things that can be seen. So apparent brightness is how bright a star looks when viewed from Earth. Okay, so the apparent brightness of a star is talking specifically about the perspective of looking at stars from Earth. I guess you could compare that to an astronaut traveling into space and taking photographs of the stars from that different perspective of being up in space. All right, next section, comparing stars to each other. The apparent brightness of a star changes depending on which planet it is viewed from. Okay. Apparent brightness changes. That makes sense. In order to compare stars, astronomers use absolute brightness, how bright it appears at a standard distance. And they also measure luminosity, the amount of light a star gives off from its surface. So luminosity is another important word I want to make sure to take note of. So this is the amount of light a star gives off from its surface. And again, from its surface is important there, not what it appears to us when we look at it from Earth, but from its surface. Apparent brightness depends partly on distance from Earth. Stars can appear to be closer due to their distance. No, sorry, I read that wrong. Stars can appear to be brighter due to their distance from Earth. Distance from Earth is measured in light years. The closest star to Earth is the Sun, only 8.5 light minutes away. The next closest star, Alpha Centauri, is 4.4 light years from Earth. Okay, we read about that one yesterday. Closest star is the Sun. Second closest star, Alpha Centauri. If you want to construct a model of the distance between Earth and the two nearest stars, then you need a lot of room. If the model has the distance between Earth and the Sun as 1 centimeter, or 4/10 of an inch, the distance between Earth and Alpha Centauri would be 2,750 meters, or about 25 football fields away. What is a light year? It is the distance light can travel in a single year. It is equal to 9 46 times 10 to the 15th power meters, or 5 88 times 10 to the 12th power miles. This is the third vocabulary word I want you to write down, light years. Sometimes when we're taking notes, I encourage you guys to put the information into your own words, because that helps your brain to digest what you're learning and thinking about and make new connections. But when it comes to vocabulary words, I encourage you to copy the definition exactly, especially if it's scientific or technical words like this. If you change the definition around too much, you might misunderstand the meaning. So in this case, it's okay to simply copy the definition down in your notebook. How does our sun differ from other stars? Sorry, I read that wrong. How does our sun compare to other stars? Stars differ from each other, not only in distance from Earth, but also in other properties. Properties of stars include size, mass, and luminosity. Properties, size, mass, and luminosity. Oh gosh, I spelled that wrong. Luminosity. The table below lists the properties of the sun and 5 stars close to Earth. Size and mass are measured as compared to the sun, and luminosity is a measurement of the amount of light a star produces. Okay, so when you look at this table, we're going to talk about this a little more in the next few days. So I'm going to kind of just tell you, for now, I want you to take a look at these different numbers. Think about which star appears to be closest to Earth, which we've already said is the sun, and which are further away, and just kind of compare the different numbers that you see in the chart. Although Sirius A produces much more light than the sun, its apparent brightness is much less because of its distance from Earth. Last section, look out, the stars don't go away during the day. The light from the sun is just too bright to see them. Even the light from a full moon can prevent you from seeing faint stars. You can see the most stars during a new moon night, when the moon is completely dark. Okay, so now the next step, now that we've recorded our vocabulary words and important ideas, is to record questions and then last the summary. Remember, for the summary, you're writing 1 or 2 sentences that describe the main point or the most important idea from the article.